What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and in today's episode of the third-person action RPG tutorial series, we are going to be going over how to create a main menu in our game. So you see here on our main menu, we have the campaign option, the options option, and the quick game option. The options button is a placeholder, but it will work in the future when we have a settings or an options menu or screen to be able to navigate to. Right now it's just sitting there to take up some space and kind of demo what this screen could look like. But let's go ahead and press campaign, and it will take us into our level that we're used to seeing when we play this game. After that, everything will function as normal. So basically the main menu just opens us up, gets us into the game where we want to be playing it, just like all good main menus do. So we're going to be creating that for our game today, and if you want to get caught up in the series and see how we've done things like equipping armor on our character, speaking to NPCs, making dialogue choices, and attacking opponents, then you can feel free to click this iCard in the top right corner to check out the entire third-person and action RPG playlist for all the episodes. Alternatively, if you don't care about that and you just care about the main menu, I do recommend you watch this episode right here first. That is our episode for our cutscenes. It's not related to the main menu and you don't need it, but it is something interesting that you can use and combine with the main menu so that when you open up a level like we did here, we have an intro sequence. With that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. So this is a code and blueprint tutorial series. We're going to be doing everything in the blueprints today. We're going to create a level for the main menu, and we're going to create a main menu widget to create and be able to navigate. So first things first, let's go ahead and create a new level. This will be our main menu level. You can see at the top in the editor, I'm in the main menu. Typically, we would start on the third-person example map. That is the map you're used to seeing so far in the series. But now I've made a new one. That way we can come into the game, load as little as possible, spawn our menu, and then navigate to the game. I have this levels folder that I've added for today's episode. To add a folder, you can either do it in the File Explorer, or you can right-click right here in the Content Browser and select New Folder. Then I just named it Levels and went inside of here, and then I added a new level. So once you select this, name it whatever you want. I just called it Main Menu. Simple enough. And then double-click it to actually enter the level. It should be completely black to start because there's nothing in this level. You can see in the world outliner there's nothing. It's completely empty. Now one thing I would like to do that I haven't done is set this to be my default startup map when I load up the editor. So from now on, when we come into the editor and come into our project, this map will load instead of our project map. You don't have to do that. That's up to you if you'd like to do that. I'm going to do it, so I'm going to go to Edit Project Settings, and then I'm going to go to Maps and Modes under Project here. And under Default Maps, we have the Editor Startup map, and it's on the third-person example map. I want to change this to my main menu map. Additionally, there is a game default map, so if no map is loaded, it will load up this map. I'm also going to put this to be the main menu. Again, neither of these are required right now. You can always change these later, but I'm going to set it up that way. Next thing we want to do is make our actual menu that we want to display to the user, and this is going to be a blueprint widget. So go to where you want to create this. I'm going to Blueprints, Widgets, and I'm going to go to User Interface, Widget Blueprint. So add a new one of this. Call it whatever you want. I just called it Main Menu, and then go into it. At this point, we want to design our menu, so make it look however you want to look. For me, I have a very basic setup. I will go through it with you. First things first, I have my parent element here. This is my widget. You'll have this when you come in. No default changes to it. Then my actual root element on this widget is a canvas panel. If you're doing this in Unreal Engine 4, you will have a canvas panel by default. If you're doing this in Unreal Engine 5, you will not. I typically add a canvas panel by default, but you don't have to. I'm just used to doing that from working in UE4 so much. If you want to add one, type canvas panel and just add it to your widget. This is a default canvas panel. I haven't changed anything about it, but it gives me the bounds of the screen so I know where to put things. Then I've added a text widget to this canvas panel, which is just the title of the text. I just called it Main Menu, mainly because this is a template, and so I'm showing you where we're at. You could name it your game or not have text here at all. So it's a text element. I have it anchored to the entire top. This means it will take up the horizontal distance of this widget and be placed at the top of it. Then I positioned it down 10 units just so it wasn't at the very top because I thought it looked a little bit better that way. Set my size to be 30. You could set a manual size here. I'm allowing it to size to the text that we give it, so I didn't have to change this, and I didn't change my alignment. I checked size to content just so that the box would adjust with the size of the text. For the actual text, I just wrote main menu, and then you can see my font settings, outline settings, justification is centered, and there you go. Now I have 3 buttons which are all going to follow the exact same method. So add a button. First one is my campaign button, or campaign BTN, which stands for button. So this is just a regular button that I'm bringing into my canvas panel, and I have it anchored to the top center. That way I'm just giving it a Y offset, but all these buttons will be centered. Position of 300, size of 470, alignment of 0.5 and 0.5. That way it goes off the center of this button instead of the origin, which is the top left. If you don't do this, you'll see that it is offset. That is technically at the right spot with the positions I gave it, but only because it doesn't factor in the size of the widget. It goes off the origin. If we do 0.5 and 0.5 for both the X and the Y alignment, we'll go off the center of this object. Then feel free to choose your styles and such if you want. I left everything default for today's episode, but I'll scroll through it quickly so you can see it. After that, you're going to want to make this a variable because we are going to want to use it in the graph. So just check this little box right here. I've added a text widget to my button, campaign button, and I called it campaign button text. So this is basically the text I want to display on the button. So we have pretty much all default settings here. I actually wrote campaign in the text box here so I can show to the player what this button will actually do. And I changed some of my font stuff as well. After that button, I've added an options button, which is going to have essentially the same stuff as the campaign button. It's just going to be at a different position. It is 100 units farther down. It is also a variable though, so we can use it in the graph when we want to. Then we have options button text, which is a child of our options button. Default values, text says option. Here are my font settings. Then we have our quick game button, which is just another button. 100 units down again. Everything else is going to be the same. Make sure the quick game button is also a variable. Then we have quick game button text, which is a child of button, just another text element. And the text says quick game. The rest is going to be the same. Then lastly, I've added a background to this widget that's just straight black. That way I can have an image back here if I want, or I can choose if I want to have a background. So this is an image that I've set the anchor to be the entire parent element or parent container, which is our canvas panel. So it's taking up the entire size of the canvas panel. No offsets, no alignment. Z order is -1, so it renders behind everything. You can see my settings, but all I've really changed is the color and opacity. I've just made it completely black. RGB of 0, alpha of 1. This is a variable by default. Images are in Unreal, but you can uncheck it if you don't want to change anything about it in the graph. That is up to you. I'm going to uncheck it because I don't need it for now. Once you have your widget looking how you want it to, we go into the graph. And I've taken everything out of this widget except for one thing, which is the on-pressed campaign button. So this is all we have to do for today's episode in terms of logic to actually load up our game properly. We already have a level that works with what we have, which is the third-person example map. So we're going to click on our campaign button, scroll down in the details section to on-pressed. On-pressed means if we pressed it with a button on a controller or keyboard, or we clicked it with a mouse. We'll get this node right here. Then we want to call open level by name. This will allow us to open a level in Unreal by passing in just a name. And the name of our map is third person example map. So once we press the campaign button, open this level, it's as simple as that. Now once we have our widget created, we can go to the level blueprint of this main menu so that when we load into the main menu level, we can create the widget right away. In UE5, there's this little graph section here. You can pull that down and go to Open Level Blueprint. In UE4, there is a button up here that says Blueprints, and you select that and select Open Level Blueprint. In here, you might have some events to start. If you don't, it's fine. We want to go to Event Begin Play. Begin Play is what happens when this level is loaded. So as soon as this level is loaded, we're going to create the main menu widget and display it to the user. To do this, we can type create widget, and you have to select the class type. So we want to select our main menu widget that we just created, main menu. You can set an owning player to be player 1 if you want. And once we've created the widget, we need to determine where we want to display it and when. So we just want to display it to the screen right away. So we're going to type add to viewport. And there you go. So as soon as this level opens, create the widget and display it to the user. And that's all you need to have a basic main menu in your game. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this episode and it helps you make your main menu for your third-person action RPG series or any series, then please subscribe. It gives me a lot of support, so I really appreciate it. I also want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube membership, Patreon, and Discord subscribers. You guys support me so much, and the fact that you are as interested in these series as I am makes me incredibly grateful, so thank you so much for that as well. If you had any issues with this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. I would be happy to help you out with any problems you ran into. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.